almeno così ci dicono i guru locali. Noi ci stiamo preparando per la partenza ufficiale della prima regata del nostro pomeriggio.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we haven't forgotten about you. We're just waiting for this first race to get underway. There's been a slight delay up at the start for this PR2 women's single sculls. A preliminary race, only 3 entries for this: Hong Kong, China, Ukraine and Brazil. So this will work as a very useful warm-up race ahead of the final. But we were expecting them to get underway. In fact, they are now under starters' orders as I speak. So they should be underway shortly in the preliminary race in the PR2 women's single sculls.
Non ci siamo dimenticati di voi, semplicemente siamo in attesa della partenza ufficiale programmata alle 15:00, sono le 15:04 in partenza, un leggero ritardo ma tutto comunque regolare. Siamo in attesa della partenza per poter andare ad accompagnare questa gara preliminare del singolo femminile PR2. Solo 3 le imbarcazioni in gara: Hong Kong, Ucraina e Brasile. Stessi numeri anche per molte altre formazioni, soprattutto regate pesi leggeri. In dettaglio le prove riservate al 2 senza, pensate solo 3 imbarcazioni. Stessa storia anche per il 4 di coppia, pesi leggeri maschile. rientreremo poi nell'ottica dei recuperi seguendo tutto quello che sarà il nostro programma. Siamo in attesa della partenza ufficiale prima di poter riavviare il grande racconto del nostro pomeriggio ai remi alla Schirana di Varese.
So they are underway 2,000 meters up beautiful Lake Varese from where we are sitting in our wonderful finishing tower. This is Rob Curling offering the English-speaking commentary from the Finnish tower. Alongside me, Luca Bragini, the unmistakable voice of our wonderful Italian host, who knows everybody here and who is known by everybody here. But let's, before I hand over to him, just get the lineup then for this PR2 women's single sculls. 3 competitors, as I say. In lane 1 for Hong Kong, China is Ipka Yi. In lane 2, representing Ukraine, is Anna Isanova. And in lane 3, representing Brazil, Josiane Diaz de Lima.
3 formazioni in gara, 3 equipaggi da accompagnare durante questo percorso. Se da un lato abbiamo sentito con grande generosità qualche parola su di me che mi riempie sicuramente il cuore, non posso non parlare del grande amico inglese direttamente da Londra, Rob Curling, colui che per tanti anni ha raccontato non solo il canottaggio, ma il tennis, le Olimpiadi invernali, quiz show nelle televisioni inglesi. Insomma, una storia straordinaria insieme ad accompagnarvi in questa giornata preliminary race del singolo femminile. Siamo in gara con 3 sole formazioni.
Thank you for your kind words, Luca. And just before we hand over to our wonderful commentary team out on the water, Niamh Hayes and Robert Trahan-Jones, let me just ask you about conditions out on the water now. Slight change, a little more cloud now. I noticed perhaps a little more in the way of ripples on the surface. Is there a general afternoon kind of swing around of the wind here, or do things change much here generally?
Well, yeah, we saw and noticed a bit of a change, but was not that big, I have to say. So fair conditions for all of our competitors here on Lake Varese. And it's a good sign, Rob, because normally when we get that sort of tide wind means that it's not going to rain. So I'm sure all the athletes will be pretty happy there will be a dry afternoon.
Wonderful, because there was a lot of rain here in the lead up to this event, wasn't there?
Exactly right. We had a lot of rain and sadly a lot of floods around the area, not in Varese, but this lake was a meter lower compared to the current situation. So the organizing committee and all the volunteers, they had to work pretty hard to reset and recreate perfect conditions here, changing the buoys and all the technical aspects that I don't really know about. But they had to do a lot of work to make sure that this place was ready to welcome the world of rowing for this event.
And now the level is high again, so they had to go and adjust it again, did they?
Yeah.
Well,
that's fun of rowing, outdoor sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are enormously grateful to everyone here, all the organisers, all the volunteers, for everything they do to make this event happen. So back to this race then. Let's see what's happening. It looks like Brazil's Josiane Diaz de Lima is leading the way as they head down towards Robert. They're about 750, 800 metres gone. Robert, do you have a sighting?
I do indeed, Rob. Yes, thank you very much, and welcome to the afternoon session from the waterborne commentary team. Now, we kick off with this preliminary race for the PR2 women's single sculls, a relatively new addition to the international rowing programme. But let's not forget that for some of these athletes, and I'm looking in particular at Brazil's Josiane de Lima, she is a veteran of what used to be called the TA mixed double sculls, which in modern terms is the PR2 mixed double sculls, which has been a Paralympic event right from the time when rowing was first included in the Paralympic program in Beijing in 2008. So Diaz de Lima, who is leading this preliminary race, 47 years of age, she has competed at all 4 rowing Paralympics that have so far taken place. It's a fantastic record. And here she is despite her veteran status, leading this three-boat preliminary race. Alongside her, and just a couple of lengths astern, Anna Isanova for Ukraine, the bronze medalist in this event last year. She is almost half the Brazilian's age. The age difference really is that wide. But that is something that we see in para-rowing. We see athletes taking up this fantastic sport, sometimes late in their sporting career. Sometimes they've pursued other para sports before starting to row. Diaz de Lima, who I remember seeing compete at the Munich World Championships back in 2007, and she secured the gold medal in the double sculls with her former partner. But here she is in the PR2 women's single for the very first time, and proving that she can perform in the single just as well as she can in the double, and leading this preliminary race by about 2.5 lengths ahead of Isanova. Ip Ka-yi, the third athlete taking part in this race, the newcomer from Hong Kong, China, 26 years of age, and a little bit off the race pace here in this preliminary race. And as Rob was saying earlier, preliminary races are all about a little bit of a test, where there are 6 crews or fewer in any particular event. A preliminary race is held simply to give them a bit of a tryout, racing conditions on the water before the straight medal final that will take place later. And the straight medal final for this particular event will take place tomorrow afternoon, shortly after 3 o'clock. Well, their leading scullers already making their way down to the 1500 metre signal, where they came within sight of Niamh Hayes.
Thank you so much, Robert. Great to be back here for the afternoon session, and what a treat it is to be looking at these boats out here on Lake Varese. No doubt about it, it is the Brazilian sculler Diaz de Lima leading it out from the start. Her speed has stayed up. She's been the quickest boat throughout this whole race. She's just coming up past 1400 metres, just into view outside my window. As Rob mentioned earlier, a little bit windier than it was here this morning, but lovely conditions here for the rowers. Then in second place, not too far behind, we have Anna Isanova there from Ukraine. She finished third at the World Championships last year, so lots of experience in that boat. So both of those rowers now just past me here now at the 1500 metre mark. Then back in third place from Hong Kong, we have Ip Ka-yi. Now she rowed already today in the PR2 mixed double sculls, finishing 5th. So kudos to her for going out here already within a few hours and racing here again this afternoon. But heading down now towards the finish tower there, and Rob and Luca, you should be it should be starting to come into sight for you there now. So it is still the Brazilian sculler, but Anna Isanova from Ukraine has increased her speed. She is now faster than the Brazilian sculler. So let's see if she can clinch down that lead that Diaz de Lima has had on her for the whole race.
Thank you very much, Niamh. It's interesting to know what they might think tactically about this preliminary race, Luca, because they know they're all in the final. It's whether they want to test themselves or whether they want to test their opponents, and quite what they might be thinking as to what they want to get out of these preliminary races.
Yes, Rob, and also a good opportunity for them to sort of start racing, discovering the course. Most of the athletes are here for the first time. Varese hosting international events every year, but last year were under 23s and under 19. So this year is an opportunity for them to contest an event on this gorgeous course, and the preliminary race sometime is a good opportunity to start picking your spots where you want to then develop your race in the next days or so. So looks like Brazil, ancora il Brasile davanti a fare l'andatura, un bellissimo margine di vantaggio per l'atleta brasiliana classe 1975 davanti all'Ucraina, poi ancora Hong Kong, China dall'altra parte del percorso, ma è il Brasile che davvero in solitaria vola verso il traguardo dimostrando di avere non solo una marcia in più, ma anche la confidenza di poter rincorrere la medaglia del metallo più prezioso per la giornata di domani.
Yeah, it's a very comfortable win for Josiane Diaz de Lima coming across the line now. And Ukraine's Anna Isanova, who, as we've heard, was on the podium in the Rachite last year, representing Ukraine. She's home in second, and I'm just having a look down the course to see where our third competitor is. A fair way back, I think. And that's Ip Ka Yi of Hong Kong, China. But a good performance there from Josiane Diaz de Lima ahead of Anna Isanova. So heading down the final straight now is Ip Ka Yi of Hong Kong, China. And if you feel like giving her a cheer, those of you who are here, I'm sure she'd appreciate it. She can hear, it makes a difference. It really does. If you can hear some support heading out your way on that lake, 2,000 meters you've been rowing here, it'd be lovely to hear a cheer for her. If you're out there, do give Ip Ka Yi of Hong Kong, China, a helping hand as she heads down towards the finish line here in the PR2 women's single sculls.
Sul traguardo vediamo chiudere ora anche l'atleta di Hong Kong China, sicuramente più attardata rispetto al gruppo di testa. Ci ha messo il cuore, ha cercato con grande passione di completare il suo percorso ed è bello vedere le avversarie che hanno deciso di aspettarla dopo il traguardo. Bentornata a casa, prova archiviata, il saluto anche al pubblico, prova completata anche per te.
So race number 55 was cancelled. Race number 56 now out on the water. It's the PR3 men's pair. We saw Ukraine and Brazil contest the PR2 women's single sculls along with Hong Kong, China. And it's just Ukraine and Brazil in this two-boat race in the PR3 men's pair. In the boat for Brazil, Kaitsi Bonine. In the bow seat, Gabriel Mendes de Souza at stroke. And for Ukraine, we have Stanislav Samulyuk and Andriy Sivkik in the stroke seat. So Brazil and Ukraine contesting this preliminary race once again in the men's pair. They've reached about 400 meters and there's literally nothing in it.
Ritorniamo in gara con una delle specialità più tecniche del panorama remiero mondiale. Stiamo parlando del due senza maschile e due senza PR3, solo due formazioni impegnate in questa specialità, Brasile ed Ucraina, in gara in questo istante.
So as they head down towards the 600-meter mark, it's our Brazilian crew who've just taken the edge now away from Ukraine. Just before we throw over to Robert Trahan-Jones, there was a lot of talk about food and coffee earlier on in the day and what's acceptable in Italian cuisine. We thought your prosciutto and mozzarella sandwich sounded terrific. That was poo-pooed by many of your fellow countrymen and women. We then got to talk about cappuccino, and we're led to believe in other countries that it's not done to drink cappuccino after 11 o'clock in the morning. You confirm this. Our English producer, Mark, has then gone on lunchtime, bought himself a cappuccino. It's gone down quite badly.
No, I can't believe it. I think it did, actually. So, yeah, to recap and sort of confirm that in the Italian culture, they don't really like offering cappuccino past 11 in the morning.
Why? Who made up this rule?
I don't know. Italy is full of rules, but not 100% sure if people are following, but that's a different story.
Okay. Well, look, let's follow this race out on the water and join Robert Trahan-Jones, who will be able to fill us in on what the picture is here between these two crews from Brazil and Ukraine. Robert.
Yes, well, as you rightly point out, Rob, Brazil took the early lead and really have never looked back. But it's a pretty tight race, this preliminary race for the PR3 men's pairs with Bonine and Mendes de Souza of Brazil at the 1,000-meter intermediate timing signal, leading Samulyuk and Sivik for Ukraine by just over one boat length. The Brazilians with the higher stroke rate, I've got them at 30 strokes a minute. Ukraine, well, they were down at 26, but they've suddenly used that halfway mark to wake up and have come right back into contention. They've pumped the rate up to 31 strokes a minute. They've got a boat speed that's marginally faster than Brazil, and stroke by stroke they are clawing back the deficit. And despite the fact there's only two crews taking part, we have got a real race on our hands. Now, some of you might be saying, hang on a minute, if there's only two entries, why the big call for the event? Well, we've been around in this para-rowing disciplines, excuse me, for a number of years, and the mere availability of these new disciplines leads many squads to put crews on to enter because of the availability for competition in that particular boat class. And that's what we've seen throughout the para-rowing events that have been a significant part of the wonderful World Rowing Programme for about 20 years now. And I can remember the day when what are now the established events with semi-finals and the whole paraphernalia, they were once upon a time had fewer than 6 boats taking part. So there can only be room for growth, and I look forward to that day when we'll see significantly more taking part in the PR3 men's pairs. Well, for the race itself, Brazil have seen off the Ukrainian challenge, and as they move past Neve, have once again established the lead.
Will they go for it now again at the 1,500-meter mark? We really saw Ukraine picking up the pace there as they passed you, Robert. So let's see. I'm just looking out the window, just having a look to see if they pick it up. It looks like they're holding steady right now. They know it's the later stages of the race now, so they might be holding on. As I say that, their speed has just shot up completely. So again, Ukraine are really going for it. They've upped their rate as well, and it's translating into their speed. So they are coming into the lead. They're breaking down that lead that Brazil have had from the start. So this is actually such a great race to watch for anyone that's below there watching it. Again, like, it's a preliminary race, but as Robert, you've spoken about so many times throughout the morning, just that psychological advantage of getting ahead, and even in these races where really results don't matter a huge amount, just psychologically getting out ahead is really good for going into the finals, which will be happening tomorrow afternoon. But coming into the final 200-meter race, it does look like Brazil have once again responded to the surge there from Ukraine, so it looks like they will probably hold them off, Rob.
Thank you very much, Niamh. Yeah, I think that looks like the plan, doesn't it? But Ukraine would like to maybe throw in a little something here, a little spanner in the workings of Brazil. But as we watch them now heading down towards the last section, I think maybe Brazil have seen this. Have they even put on a little bit of a spurt here?
Ancora ultimi 200 metri, il Brasile sta dimostrando di poter andare a schierare una formazione davvero capace di costruire una progressione che resta nella memoria. Pensate che la differenza d'età tra questi due atleti è di circa 20 anni, si trovano a gareggiare insieme e sono grandi protagonisti. Quindi la vittoria al Brasile, poi l'Ucraina per la seconda piazza.
So Kaitsi Bonine and Gabriel Mendes de Souza of Brazil cross the line. There's about a 2 or 3 length gap between them now and Ukraine. Stanislav Samulyuk and Andriy Sivic. So great race from the two of them, and they will go head-to-head again in the final tomorrow of the PR3 men's pair. Next race on the water is a preliminary race in the lightweight men's pair.
Rimaniamo sempre nella galassia delle regate preliminari, ma ritorniamo tra i pesi leggeri con la preliminary race del 2 senza PL maschile, 3 equipaggi in gara: Germania, Ungheria e Italia.
So, early stages of this three-boat race. All three will be contesting the gold, silver and bronze come the final. Germany 2 in lane 1, made up of Zeno Robertson and Max von Bülow. In lane 2 for Hungary, Bence Szabo and Kalman Furco. And in lane 3 for Italy, Francesco Bardelli and Stefano Pinzone.
Ed eccoli qui i due azzurri subito davanti. Giustamente ricordavamo sono atleti giovanissimi, classe 2003, quest'anno spengono 20 candeline, sono giovani talenti torinesi, Stefano Pinzone e Francesco Bardelli, cresciuti alla Canottieri Cerea sotto la guida tecnica di Federico Vitale, che è anche il direttore tecnico di questo sodalizio, un sodalizio che ancora una volta si trova a competere ad una grande competizione mondiale, un'occasione anche per dare uno sguardo a queste società che continuano ad investire tanto nel mondo dei pesi leggeri. Insomma, Italia davanti con un passo abbastanza martellato, stanno viaggiando a 40 colpi al minuto, a seguire c'è la Germania e poi l'Ungheria in questa gara preliminare che comunque fa sorridere tutta l'Italia, perché con un passaggio con 1.37.07, un secondo di vantaggio sull'Ungheria, poi la Germania, questo sta a significare che con buone possibilità l'Italia potrebbe essere grande protagonista di specialità domani, quando ci sarà la grande finale del due senza pesi leggeri.
So the Hungarians and the Italians have a little bit of history in this event in that they have won medals at various levels. I wonder, Robert, perhaps is Germany too the unknown quantity here in this three-boat race?
Yes, you're right, Rob. It's a new combination. Max von Bülow in the stroke seat is out of last year's under-23 single, whereas the Hungarians and the Italians, well, they were silver medalists in both the open events for Hungary and for the Italians, the under-23 event last year. A few minutes ago, I was talking about growth as it related to entries in the para-rowing disciplines. The lightweight men's pairs, on the other hand, has seen diminishing entries over the years, and it's not difficult to see why, because we all know that the lightweight men's four has long since disappeared from the Olympic program, and the lightweight men's pair, which has never been an Olympic event, was used, if you like, as a bit of a development program for lightweight sweep athletes as they were waiting for a place in that Olympic boat class in the four. Excuse me. Anyway, since the four has disappeared and the lightweight sculling events are on their way out, as I say, difficult to see a future for this event. But let's face it, right here and now, three crews taking part in this preliminary race. And as they move through into the third quarter, Italy leading Germany and Hungary. Neve.
Yes, so Italy have taken that lead right from the start. Germany, just as they went through that 1200 meter mark, they tried to put on a little bit of a push. As we can see, they're doing again. They're trying to get that boat speed up to match Italy's there, who have been leading. But if you look across at the stroke rates here, Italy up around that 40 stroke a minute. They're going really aggressive here. They're using the wind to their advantage, getting in nice and quick, and it's translating into good boat speed. But every time they go, so are the Germans. So it'll be an interesting race to see as they come down in towards the last quarter of this race. I was lucky enough to be here for the under-23 and under-19 championships last year here in Lake Varese. So it's great to see the Italians back here on the water. They were silver medalists at the under-23 championships last year. So they're just passing the 1500 meter mark, and they're still holding on to that lead, still holding on to that high stroke rate, but it is very close between them and Germany. Still not out at all of contention at all in this preliminary race. Either is Hungary. They're hanging in there, and they're actually after responding now as they went through the 1500 meter mark as well. They've also increased the rate up to 39, increased their boat speed as well. So all the three, very little between them now at the moment. Again, their final will be taking place tomorrow afternoon. So because it's so close here, it really is all about that psychological edge, as we keep mentioning. But at the moment, it is Italy who are really just going for it here as they head towards the last 200 metres. And it looks to be Hungary moving up alongside Germany there, Rob.
Thank you, Niamh. And memories of last year's under-19s and under-23s here are very fond ones for all of us, not least for you, Niamh, because there was a big Irish contingent, I seem to remember, who did extremely well out on the water. A slightly smaller contingent for this event here, but let's keep our eyes peeled here, see how our hosts are doing. Italy. Luca.
Un'Italia straordinaria, un'Italia che sorprende, un'Italia che cambia marcia e vola verso il traguardo. Stefano Pinsone e Francesco Bartelli non vogliono lasciare nemmeno le briciole agli avversari e immagino Torino ora tutta in piedi, attacca disperatamente l'Ungheria, tenta con il cappello fluorescente di accecare gli avversari, ma l'Italia non si fa impensierire e va così a vincere questa gara preliminare del 2 senza leggero.
Oh, Hungary look really menacing out there, didn't they? They've just put a real spurt on, but Italy saw them off. They've taken Italy by just a quarter of a length or a bow deck maybe from Hungary. Germany letting up because they knew that their race was run. So terrific race. Italy first, Hungary second, Germany 2 third. They will go again, these three crews, in tomorrow's final. Out on the water now, it's another preliminary race. It's the lightweight men's quadruple sculls. And once again, it's three crews here with Italy, Germany and the Netherlands.
Abbiamo ora un'altra regata preliminare, quella del 4 di coppia, pesi leggeri maschile. Italia in acqua 1, Germania in acqua 2, Olanda in acqua 3.
Well, just around a second and a half separating these three boats. But how are they lying, Robert?
Well, it's great news for the home supporters here on Lake Varese, because the Italians, who virtually own this event, I can't remember the last time they didn't win the gold medal in this event at the World Championships. And here's last year's under-23 crew, unchanged from the lineup that took gold right here on Lake Varese, powering away to one length ahead of Germany and the Netherlands. The Germans, for their part, well, they're no slouches at this event. They took bronze last year, and behind the Italians, and three members of that crew survived to try and challenge for a second successive year. Now, the Dutch, on the other hand, they're boating three athletes that are entirely new to international competition here in this lightweight men's quad. But the margins as they proceed down towards 1,500 metres, quite clear as Italy lead Germany and the Netherlands, Niamh.
Looking very impressive over the far side of the course here, rating that much higher than the rest of the crews here, but it is being shown in their speed here. Another crew now who have not led up in their speed whatsoever, and they've actually increased the rate now as they go through that 1,400 metre mark. Again, putting down a mark here against the other two crews ahead of the finals that will be taking place tomorrow. So yes, definitely the fastest moving boat out there at the moment, but Germany then still hanging in that second position. They're just passing me out the window here at the 1,500 metre mark now, and they are all looking incredibly strong. The Italians just look so sharp in every part of their stroke, nice and quick. You can really see the rate difference across the three crews here now as they head down the course. So they're opening up a little bit of a lead ahead of Germany. Netherlands then in that third position. They've increased their speed, so we'll see now if they can catch Germany any little bit as they head towards 1,700 metres there, Rob.
Thank you very much indeed, Niamh. Always good to see a home nation doing well on their own water. It, I know, it just helps things, doesn't it? It livens things up, and it livens up my neighbour sitting next to me, Luca, who's constantly lively, so he doesn't need it. But Italy doing well, Luca.
Italy's leading, and I'm sure all the local volunteers will be really, really happy because on this boat here we've got Nicolò Zemiliani, who is the local hero at Canottieri Varese. He's member and an athlete from the local rowing club who is hosting and organizing this event. Sarà una grande gioia per tutta la Canottieri Varese vedere Nicolò Zemiliani con Luca e Giovanni Borgonovo della Canottieri Gavirate trionfare nel 4 di coppia pesi leggeri maschile davanti alla Olanda e poi la Germania in questa gara preliminare.
Yes, it's a very clear finish. Italy winning by a length and 3/4 ahead of the Netherlands in lane 3. Germany bringing up the rear. That's the 1, 2, 3 then in this preliminary race in the lightweight men's quadruple sculls, who will all get together again to race the A final. So our next event is the preliminary race of the women's 8. Great Britain, Australia, Canada all entered this, but only Australia have decided to row this preliminary event. So the Australian crew out on there with Lily Alton-Triggs in the bow seat, Bronwyn Cox at stroke, and Hayley Verbunt, the Cox, and they're around 600 metres, leading the way ahead of nobody else.
È una gara preliminare che avrebbe dovuto vedere 3 equipaggi ai remi, poi Germania con Canada e Gran Bretagna hanno deciso di non partecipare e quindi in gara abbiamo solo l'Australia. Sarà una passerella, una sorta di occasione per iniziare a testare il campo di regata per questa formazione dell'Australia che si trova lì davanti praticamente sola. A bordo tantissime ragazze giovani, classe 99, 2000, 2001 e 2002, ad eccezione di Georgina Rowe, lei classe 1992, che porta l'esperienza e fa da mamma chioccia a questa formazione.
My question to you, Luca, is how do you commentate on a one-boat race? Shall we find out?
Let's ask Robert.
Let's. Robert, how do you do it?
It's quite straightforward because I have fewer crews to concentrate on. Thank you so much, Rob. No, it begs the question, doesn't it? Hang on a minute. If we had 3 crews entered for this event, where are the other crews for this preliminary race for the women's 8s? And the answer is that attendance in participation in a preliminary race is not compulsory. And if you think back to this morning's exciting racing program, you will recall that the Canadian crew split into 2 fours to take part, and I think both of them qualified, if I'm correct, for the next round. The GB crew, on the other hand, split into smaller boats. So in other words, everybody's doubling up. And if they've already raced sometimes a grueling heat over this 2,000-meter course on Lake Varese, then the last thing they want to do is to take part in another race, which is not compulsory, just a few hours later. So that's why it leaves Australia taking part on their own, but the Australian crew bagged with talent. We've got a couple of athletes, Olympia Aldersey and Molly Goodman, in the 4 and 7 seats, who are survivors from the Australian 8 at the Rio Olympics. We've got 4 athletes on board who took part in the Olympic finalist crew at the Tokyo Games, and they've had another crew reshuffle since the World Championships last year, where they contested the A final, but unfortunately on this occasion rowing over the course themselves. They've been able to take the rate down to a nice pedestrian 24 strokes a minute, so absolutely no need for pressure as they come within sight of Niamh.
Yes, they're just passing me here now at the 1,500-metre mark. You mentioned about GBR and Canada doubling up. I do know some of these rowers were also in the women's 4 and pair, but I suppose they're using it as an opportunity to get a training session in together. Otherwise, they may have to go out later anyway, so why not use the preliminary race to get some time in the boat together? You were mentioning the pedigree in the boat. There's also 2 young rowers there, Paige Barr and Jacqueline Swick, who were 3rd in the under-23s last year in the women's 4. So great to see them stepping up to that senior category under coach John Keogh. And of course, as we've heard from Luca and Rob, they've been training hard here on Lake Varese as they have a training centre based at the other side of the lake. So getting in even more practice here now on the water as they start to approach you there, Rob.
Thank you very much indeed. Yes, they base themselves over in Varese, where Luca works for them. He's sporting his Australia shirt here today. I don't know quite how his Italian counterparts feel about that. So you've got 2 teams you're supporting here this weekend, Luca, is that right?
Exactly right, exactly right. Australia is my second family, but of course, Italy is my country. So it's a bit of a battle there, but no doubt about this race, because only Australians competing. And I've just seen Wayne Diplock racing down there, the team manager for the Australian rowing team, racing down, trying to watch this race. Andiamo ancora in chiusura, l'Australia, quasi a controllare. Bellissimo lo stop in finale, un'azione tecnica incisiva per far frullare bene l'equipaggio e andare così a portare a casa la vittoria della gara preliminare.
I couldn't have put it better myself, Luca. Here they come then. Australia down to the finish line. We can give them a time if they want one. I suspect they weren't pushing themselves terribly hard, just getting a feel for things out there. And they looked very, very neat and very together. 6:23.1 was their time. So that's Australia in their little practice for the women's 8, which will be contested in the final with them, Great Britain and Canada. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the preliminary races here at the World Rowing Cup 2 here in beautiful Lake Varese, where conditions are just beautiful. It's warm, it's sunny. There's not too much of a breeze out there, but enough just to keep it cool. And so our next race will take place in about 12 minutes' time at 4 o'clock local time. And this will be the first of our repechage. So remember, this is the second chance for crews to race for the place in the next stage of competition. So we've already seen them race earlier on today. So in just over 10 minutes from now, we'll see the repechage in the lightweight women's single sculls, followed by the lightweight men's single sculls, and so on it will go from there.
Posso farvi una confidenza? Almeno a tutti voi italiani presenti sul campo di regata, davvero bellissimo sentire i miei colleghi internazionali che parlano non bene ma benissimo di Varese, di quanto è bella questa manifestazione, di quanto è ben organizzata, di quanto il lago si presti ad ospitare competizioni internazionali. Dell'estate, quello ovviamente nessuno ha merito, il sole, questa brezza che non fa accusare il caldo, abbiamo 27 gradi centigradi ma è piacevole stare al sole. Insomma, bello sentire quanto sia amata Varese nel canottaggio mondiale. La prossima gara partirà tra 12 minuti esatti, ripartiremo con i recuperi del singolo pesi leggeri femminile in partenza alle ore 4:00. 11 minuti di respiro per noi, poi di nuovo insieme per vivere il canottaggio internazionale. Alla Schiranna di Varese, restate con noi.
Can we talk olive oil?
Of course we can.
Good. Because
So why you want me to talk about olive oil?
Because I had some food last night, and the olive oil that I put on it, Italian olive oil, just made the difference.
Wow.
But if you speak to the Greeks, they will tell them that Greek olive oil is superior.
If you ask to an Italian?
Yes, which is what I'm doing, so it's a pretty stupid question, I guess.
Well, it's hard for me to answer, but I can say that the Italian olive oil, known all over the world, of course, is one of the best olive oil in the world.
One of the two best.
One of the one of the best, or the best. Actually, these days, olive oil in Italy is produced all over the country, starting from Varese all the way down to the south, but the biggest production is in Tuscany and Liguria. Tuscany has this tradition and has one of the most beautiful olive oil of the entire country.
Yeah.
Different for vinegar, balsamic vinegar.
Love that.
The best production is not far from Parma, where we also produce Parmesan cheese, of course.
Of course.
So olive oil is number one from Tuscany, but there are a lot of other regions here in Italy that they do amazing production. So if you want to take something home, pick an olive oil from Tuscany. That's my recommendation.
What a great show. I mean, I cannot believe your knowledge of olive oil. I've thrown this question to you without your knowledge, and you've answered it. If you were to ask me where the best potatoes come from in the UK, I'd probably have to say Ireland, or the best apples, I might say Kent. But I mean, honestly, I don't know. I haven't got a clue.
Actually, talking about olive oil, we've got a link of talking about olive oil. We've got a link to the rowing community.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I've just heard that Filippi, one of the biggest boat producer, all right, decided to set up a side business producing olive oil.
Oh, come on. Are you making this up?
No, it's true.
What's that got to do with boat building?
Well, part of the family tradition, so maybe we can ask David Filippi from the Filippi area what an opinion about
We
it.
can, because he's got a little coffee machine, hasn't he, in his tent, which we've visited in the past. Might pop in there and ask him for a bit of research, not because we want a free coffee.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Anyway, talking about local hero in the area, we've just noticed Stefano Martinoli walking around. He was part of the Italian rowing team back in 1956.
Yeah.
So another hero. Actually, next week is his birthday. He's celebrating 88.
Wow. Didn't we just meet him at lunch?
Yeah.
Yeah, what a guy. I mean, he still looks fantastic, doesn't he? He looks great. He's a handsome man. And you introduced me last year to someone who's even more senior, who was in the Olympics, is that right, in the 1940s?
Yeah, 1948.
That's incredible.
He got gold in London.
That's just
In
great.
the men's four.
Yeah, yeah. This is the great thing about spending time with Luca Brogini here in Varese, is that he introduces me to all these astonishing people because he knows them all and they all know and love Luca Brogini. Don't we all? It's a rhetorical question you don't have to answer. So, ladies and gentlemen, underway right now is race 60. It is the repechage for the lightweight women's single sculls. So, a reminder that these were crews that raced in the heats earlier on today, and this is their second chance for qualification through to the A final. The lineup sees Algeria in lane 1, the Netherlands in lane 2, France in lane 3, Germany in lane 4, Japan in lane 5, Hong Kong, China in lane 6.
Ritorniamo in gara, ritorniamo a vivere il nostro pomeriggio alla Schieranna di Varese, a questa seconda Coppa del Mondo con il settore pesi leggeri. In realtà i recuperi, tutte le regate che permetteranno di rimpostare e ricalibrare la corsa a questo evento, con la possibilità di ripescaggio e quindi la possibilità di continuare a correre verso sogni di gloria. Recupero singolo pesi leggeri femminile: Algeria, Olanda, Francia, Germania, Giappone, Hong Kong.
France's Aurélie Morisot in lane 3 is just leading the way at the moment. She's got a favoured centre lane, having finished quickest of these boats who didn't qualify directly from the heat. So she was a little bit quicker than Giulia Tertuente of Germany, who's alongside her in lane 4. Third quickest was Chiaki Tomita of Japan in lane 5. But it's a good first 450 metres, 500 metres from these crews. France and now the Netherlands. That is Tosca Kettler, who won silver in the Rowing World Cup 1 in Zagreb. She's pushing through now, approaching 600 metres. It's France from the Netherlands.
Ed ecco quindi al passaggio, dopo i primi 500 metri, una Francia arrembante, rimasta fuori davvero per una manciata di centesimi questa mattina, la possibilità di rientrare. 33 colpi al minuto, un buon passo gara, una velocità costante insieme all'Olanda. Questa la proiezione all'inizio del percorso, con Francia e Olanda che si tirano a vicenda in questa prima parte di gara, una gara che continua a diventare sempre più colorata e noi ci faremo colorare dal campo di regata.
So for these 6 athletes, it's their second race of the day. How demanding is that for these athletes, Robert?
Well, we've talked a lot, haven't we, Rob, about the conditions here on Lake Varese, and we know from our previous experience it really can get extremely hot and dehydrating, so you've got that problem to deal with, as well as the physical endeavour of having done well in your previous race. So, yes, it's not ideal, but in the concentrated programme of a World Cup, it is essential to be able to get through the entries in the allotted 3 days. And in this race at the moment, as they approach the halfway mark, it is the French athlete Aurélie Morisot, one of the faster non-qualifiers from this morning's heats, who is leading the way and keen to earn herself a place in tomorrow's A final and at the crack at the medals. In this morning's racing, well, we saw 2 scullers qualified direct. Olivia Bates for Great Britain, Sophia Lewis for the USA. So this race is all about which 4 scullers will join the 2 previous qualifiers in tomorrow's A final. And because, generally speaking, in rowing, in 6-lane, multi-lane rowing, the fastest qualifiers are in the centre lanes, then usually the pressure points is on the slower qualifiers in the outside lanes. And that's precisely how it's panning out in this one and only repechage of the lightweight women's single sculls, because Kaima Halal Barouan of Algeria and Leung Wing Wun of Hong Kong, China, in the outside lanes 1 and 6. A little bit off the race pace that's being set by Morisot of France in second place at the halfway mark. Well, that proved to be Tomita Chiaki, the Japanese athlete. Third at that stage was Tosca Kettler of the Netherlands, and fourth was Giulia Tortuente of Germany. Scullers already 1,200 metres in. Come on, Neve, what's the latest?
The latest is there has been no change up the front. Morozov of France there really dominating this race. As you mentioned, fastest second place earlier on. So you can really tell the difference here. She's just put on a great show for us out here. Fastest boat out there right throughout this race and keeping that up with a nice steady rate of 31 strokes per minute. She's just passing 1,400 meters there now. Then back the field. There's a good race going on between Netherlands and Japan at the moment. At the moment, it is Kettler of Netherlands who just has that slight lead ahead of Tomita from Japan. They're your 1, 2 and 3 at the moment. Then a little bit back we have Germany currently in 4th position. Then we have Hong Kong, China in that 5th position, and Algeria in 6th, but dominating this race. There is no doubt about it here. As she passed me out the window, it is Morozov of France, looking incredibly strong, incredibly comfortable here as well. Again, not dropping that speed by any means. Then in that second position, it is Kettler of Netherlands. She is going for a different kind of technique. Her rate is up around that 34 strokes per minute. So she is currently in that second position. And then a great race between Germany and Japan for the 3rd and 4th spot. So 4 boats going into the A final. Position 5th and 6th will be going into final B. So at the moment, it is looking like those top 4 spots have been taken, Rob.
Yes, thank you very much indeed, Niamh. Great Britain and USA won the 2 crews to go through directly from the heats earlier on today. So which of these 4 then can join them? As you say, it looks like that may already be all but decided.
Una di quelle gare che vuoi seguire fino in fondo, ma che di fatto conferma quanto registrato questa mattina. La Francia fuori davvero per pochissimo nella gara riservata alle qualificazioni del singolo pesi leggeri femminile ed ora la grande possibilità di riscatto con il rientro in corsa per l'accesso in finale. Le prime 4 posizioni garantiranno l'accesso in finale A, quindi le prime 4 nazioni andranno così a poter sognare le medaglie e la Francia lì davanti fa da locomotiva al gruppo di testa con Olanda, Giappone e Germania.
So coming down to the line then, we've got our 4 athletes who will go through with Aurélie Morozov, who's had a terrific race, led all the way. Clear water from her back to Kettler of the Netherlands in lane 2 in second place. We've then got lanes 4 and 5 coming through. That's Germany and Japan. So those are the 4 crews that go through to the A final to join Great Britain and USA 1. The remaining crews will go through to contest the B final. So already underway, it's the repechage of the lightweight men's single sculls. Hong Kong 2 in lane 1, Algeria 2 in lane 2, Slovakia in 3, Finland in 4, Japan in 5, Azerbaijan in 6, Robert Trahan-Jones never far away.
Furuta Naoki of Japan is leading this repechage at the halfway mark. He is followed in second place by the sculler 2 lanes over to his left, Strakansky Peter of Slovakia. Then they're followed in 3rd place by Kasper Hedevelampi of Finland. So that's the 1, 2, 3. And those are the athletes who are looking to contest the places in the semi-final and to join the previous 9 who qualified by virtue of their performance this morning. Furuta, who is coming on in leaps and bounds after his performance at last year's World Championships for Japan, where he finished down the rankings. In fact, that was the last time he met Hedevelampi head-to-head, finished 2 places up on the Finnish athlete. But the field relatively close packed now, but the pressure points on the 3 tail enders as they come down towards 1,500 meters, where Niamh can bring us up to date with the latest.
Yeah, it's the race back the field is the one that we're going to be watching here now as they come up towards about 1,300 meters here now. It has been all about Japan up the top of the field. Strzekanski then of Slovakia, then just 17 years old. He started rowing when he was 9, which doesn't seem that long ago when you're that young, but he is the youngest out there, and it is his first season as a senior. And he is really showing the rest of the guys up here. He's doing phenomenally well here in his first season as a senior here. Just looking out my window now as they pass the 1,500 meter mark, it is still Japan just about half a length there ahead of Slovakia in lane 3. Then we have Finland then currently in that 3rd position. And then at the moment in that 4th spot, it is Hong Kong 2. Of course, 3 boats here going through into semi-final A, B. The rest of them will be going into final C. So we are seeing 4 boats there now challenging it out for 3 spots. But definitely it does look like Japan and Slovakia will be safe. But who will get that 3rd spot, Rob?
Excellent question, Neve. We will find out over these closing stages as they head down towards the 2,000 meter mark and these beautiful conditions here. The sun just glinting off the rippled surface of this water here. Let's get the latest in Italian then from Luca.
Vedremo chi riuscirà a passare il turno, sarà ancora una volta l'Algeria oppure la Svezia che riuscirà a rientrare, o attenzione ancora Hong Kong China che sta cercando di rinvenire, ma di fatto il Giappone insieme alla Slovacchia e la Finlandia non vuole lasciare spazio a nessuno, e sono queste le nazioni che cercano di sgomitare per trovare il giusto giro. Bella l'azione del Giappone, primo fin dalla prima palata con il passaggio ai 1000 metri, 3:26,08, poi 5:15 ed ora appannaggio esclusivo del Giappone, la vittoria di questo recupero del singolo leggero maschile.
A good push from the athlete in lane 6 from Azerbaijan, but it's going the way of the Japanese. It's just who will take up the other 2 semi-final spots as our friend from Japan, Furuta, comes through to take first place. Sorry, it's Strzekanski, I beg your pardon, of Slovakia in first, then Naoki Furuta of Japan, and Kasper Hervilahti of Finland, I think, has held on to take that 3rd qualification spot for the semi-finals. It actually has gone to the athlete from Azerbaijan. I did notice him, which is why I got slightly distracted. Mamad Daza has come through to take that 3rd semi-final spot, pipping Hervilahti just on the line there from Finland. Slovakia, Japan, Azerbaijan through to the semi-finals of the lightweight men's single sculls.
Un arrivo splendido, un arrivo che ha confermato la vittoria della Slovacchia sul Giappone e l'Azerbaijan, 3 posizioni nette, chiare, ma che di fatto hanno incoronato questi talenti leggeri che potranno poi contendersi la corsa in semifinale per la caccia alle medaglie.
Repechage 1 of the men's pair already with Robert at 1,000 meters. Hungary, Germany 1, China 1, Denmark, Japan. Do you have a leader, Robert?
Yannick Metzger and Julius Christ of Germany leading the way at this halfway mark by about a 1/3 of a length ahead of Valberg and Mortensen for Denmark. Then Ni and Zhang of China in 3rd position. So that's the 1, 2, 3. So the pressure point, as ever, in the crews in the outside lanes, the Shenpali twins of Hungary over there in lane 1, and the Japanese duo, Arai and Sakurama, on the grandstand side in lane 5. As the pairs now move down towards the 1,500 metre, it's Germany who, if anything, their lead has been narrowed by Denmark, but really no need for pressure, as we've heard already. These guys have already raced once this morning, and they will be going into the semi-final with the disadvantage of having raced the extra, so nobody wants to expend energy unnecessarily. So the 1, 2, 3 through the 3rd quarter, Germany, Denmark, China. Neve.
Yes, as you mentioned, they've already raced today, but they're certainly racing now again. So Germany still leading it out, but looking across at the boat speeds, it was Denmark who were up there, the fastest of the boats. But Germany have responded, but Denmark really trying to push them here, trying to get into the lead now. And I'll call it as they go past me here at that 1500-meter mark. It does look like Germany are just about holding them off, but looking at the speed and the rate, Denmark certainly are coming for them. First three boats that go across that finish line will be going into semi-final A, B. So at the moment, your three boats are Germany 1, you have Denmark just behind them, and then China 1. Then back the field a little bit, we have Hungary over the outside in lane 1. They're in 4th position. And then Japan on the near side to us here in lane 5. They're in the 5th position spot as it stands. But great battle at the front of the field here. Germany 1 and Denmark, nothing between them. Denmark are a little bit quicker than them, so as they come up towards the last 200 meters, let's see if Denmark can take it. Rob.
Thank you, Niamh. Well, Germany will do all they can to hold them off. They're still sure of getting through to those semi-finals if you finish within the first three. But, you know, if you can get bragging rights and you put down a marker to your opponents, just showing how much great opposition you can be for them. So still Germany from Denmark.
Germania e Danimarca, queste le due nazioni a contendersi la vittoria per il primo recupero del 2 senza maschile, una specialità veloce, una specialità che questa mattina ha visto il trionfo delle prime formazioni, ma ora l'assalto della Germania insieme alla Danimarca accende la schiranna, bellissimo l'arrivo Germania-Danimarca per la prima e seconda piazza.
Germany coming down to the finish line, still being hounded by the Danish boat. It's Germany, they get it by just under half a length. That's the 1-2. And third place, it is the boat from China. They even stopped rowing before they crossed the line, perhaps unaware that Hungary were putting on a bit of a chase over in lane 1. But the finish there is Germany in first, Denmark in second, China in third. They are through to the AB semi-finals. Hungary and Japan will go through to contest the C final. Onto the second repechage then of these men's pair. They are making their way steadily down the course. Korea, Hong Kong, Italy, Croatia, Poland and China too. Robert, paint the picture for us if you would be so kind.
Well, in fact, it's the Polish combination of Pozilaika and Szpakowski who are leading the way. One of 4 new combinations in this second repechage of the men's pairs. They took part in the Europeans 3 weeks ago, but in different crews. Michał Szpakowski in the stroke seat. He is the sole survivor from that lineup, but he and his previous partner took 11th place overall. So evidently the Polish selectors feel that that could be improved upon, and it remains to be seen. First, they've got to get through this minor matter of the repechage, but they're leading the way as the 6 pairs approach the 1,000-meter intermediate timing signal ahead of the Lokaric brothers for Croatia. Alongside them in lane 4, third place at this intermediate timing marker is Comini and Vicino, the new combination from Italy. And then it is so tight for the vital 4th position, because the second Chinese crew on the grandstand side, Hong Kong, China over there in lane 2. All they've got to do is squeeze it on and make up a canvas to take one of those 3 vital qualifying slots. Only Korea over on the far side in lane 1 is off the race pace. Well, the fury of this pace now moving rapidly down towards 1,500 and Niamh.
What a race that is going on out there on the water. Thank you, Robert. So at the moment, yes, it is still Poland leading it out. They are quite comfortable at the moment. And Croatia and Italy having a great race there. They are going stroke for stroke, so little between them. Italy up at 40 strokes per minute. Croatia down around 37 strokes a minute. Their speed is matched though, so they are level now as they come up towards that 1400 metre mark. They're your top three at the moment. And then in that fourth position right now, it is Hong Kong, China, but they're still within touching distance there of those boats. So it's going to come down to the wire here, I would say, at this stage. I know there's still about 600 metres to go here, but there's 4 boats here really in contention for those top 3 spots to get into the semi-finals. So they're just approaching 1500 metres now. Poland still looking very comfortable, but looking at Croatia and Italy, their speed has increased that little bit. They are, I think, battling it out between themselves, but what's happening is that they are creeping up as well on Poland in the midst of it then. And then over on the far side, over in lane 2, we have Hong Kong, China. They're still in there in that 4th position. We have the People's Republic of China 2, and we also have the Republic of Korea back in that 6th position. But as they head towards about 300 metres to go, everyone has increased their speed. The rates are going up to 40 plus now at this stage in the race. They really are trying to make sure that they come in those top 3 positions. But at the moment, it is Poland, Croatia and Italy now in that 3rd spot, Rob.
Thanks, Neve. My sense is that Hong Kong, China and People's Republic of China too are possibly just slipping a little bit further away now. A Republic of Korea out of the running, but it does now look like the dominant 3 is Poland, Croatia and Italy.
Ancora un grande attacco ed è bello vedere la voglia di riemergere. Peppe vicino con Davide Comini, una nuova combinazione, 2 ragazzi diversi con 2 storie che arrivano da lontano. Peppe vicino da un lato, l'esperienza, dall'altro Davide Comini, il giovane astro nascente della vogata di punta italiana, e insieme vicini all'assalto della Croazia, ma in solitaria la Polonia va a prendere la vittoria, poi per la seconda e terza piazza Croazia e Italia al passaggio del turno.
Poland will take this, Croatia and Italy battling it out for 2nd and 3rd. Croatia will hang on for that. Italy take 3rds. A great push over there in lane 2 from Hong Kong, China. It's too little too late from them. So it is Poland, Croatia and Italy who go through to the final of the men's pair, where they'll join Germany 1, Denmark and China 1. Next, it's the repechage of the women's double sculls.
Ed ecco la prossima in rampa di lancio, il ripescaggio del doppio femminile.
4 crews here contesting 3 semi-final spots. It's going to be tough to come last here between the Netherlands in lane 1, Canada in lane 2, Great Britain in lane 3 and Poland in lane 4.
Abbiamo in acqua 1 l'Olanda, in acqua 2 il Canada, in acqua 3 la Gran Bretagna, in acqua 4 la Polonia. 4 formazioni, le prime 3 passeranno il turno.
So they're approaching 800 meters. It looks like Great Britain might just be leading from Canada, but this could go any way, I think, Robert.
Well, even as you were describing the lineup here, Rob, in fact, the position's becoming a little clearer, because although the British double is leading the way to the halfway mark, closely followed by Canada and Poland, the margins between that leading trio and the trailing Netherlands has grown ever wider. And I suspect that the newcomers from the Netherlands, Maria Lipmer and Marco Leuvenberg, have been left with a mountain to climb here if they're going to come back on this one, because it's one of those things we get so often in rowing. It pays not to be last, and only the leading 3 of this 4-boat rep will go through to join the pre-qualifiers from this morning's heats. And sure enough, at the halfway mark, it is the British double. Saskia Budgett in the bow seat from Tideway Scullers School, Lucy Glover, a veteran from the GB quadruple scull, representing Edinburgh University, in the stroke seat. They're about half a length up on Katie Clark and Marie-Lou Duvernay-Tardif, the Canadian combination, in the lane immediately to their left. Meanwhile, hanging on to their coattails, Poland just about a length behind, but slipping back against the pressure from this leading trio. The Dutch, I suspect, are off the race pace. What do you think, Neve?
I think you might be right there. There, as you said, 3 boats going into the semis, and it does look right now like it will be Great Britain, Canada and Poland. Who will finish in what position? It's all to be said yet. There's about 700 metres left in this race. Great Britain have been leading out from the start, but what we're seeing is Canada have put in a big push here to get the lead down to just 3 metres there. So we can see this going by the speed. Great Britain are that little bit quicker, but as they come up towards me here now at 1500 metres, let's see who puts on a bit of a push for the last 500 metres. Then back in that 3rd position at the moment, it is Poland, then followed by Netherlands in that 4th position. But this looks like a great race taking place out on the water. They're just coming up to me here now at 1500 metres. It is still Great Britain leading it out, just ever so slightly ahead of Canada. Canada working so hard now here in this race. It is very obvious the 2 of these are very comfortable in 1st and 2nd, but they are still having a great battle to see who'll get there ahead. And then Poland actually looking very comfortable here. They're closest to me here in lane 4. They look like they have realised that they're going to finish in the top 3, and they seem to be just taking that little bit easier. They just look a little bit more comfortable, whereas there is that battle going on between Great Britain and Canada. And then over on the far side, lane 1, we have the Netherlands in 4th position. So, Rob, it's a Great Britain and Canada battle. What's it looking like up there?
Slightly confusing because the electronic timer is showing Canada well back, but that also was showing that at the beginning of the race when Canada were up in front. So I'll take it from you that Great Britain and Canada are still fighting it out in 1st and 2nd, and Poland in 3rd, with the Netherlands, as you say, bringing up the rear. They're so far adrift now, it really is just going to be down to those 3 and what order they're going to finish in.
Vedremo appunto come si chiuderà con queste 3 formazioni oramai delineate. Gran Bretagna, Canada e Polonia stanno letteralmente volando via davanti all'Olanda, che oramai è molto nelle retrovie, ed è così che la Gran Bretagna insieme al Canada e alla Polonia volano verso il traguardo. Non importa come si chiuderà la regata, perché di fatto tutte e 3 le formazioni passeranno il turno. Attacco esplosivo all'esterno da parte della formazione canadese, che prova a rientrare sulla Gran Bretagna in un rush finale decisivo che più di orgoglio che di prestazione in questa del doppio femminile.
Attacco explosivo indeed. Look at this finish. It's going to be bow ball for bow ball. It's too close to call in lanes 2 and 3 between Canada and Great Britain. We'll wait for the official timing there. It looked like an absolute dead heat. We'll get it down to the 100th of a second, though, as Poland come home to take 3rd place in lane 4. And in fact, the Netherlands weren't that much further behind in the end. But we know it's Great Britain, Canada and Poland who are through. In terms of who took the honours, I think it's been given to Great Britain, but we'll just await confirmation purely for interest's sake, because we know that those 3 have gone through. There is a slight issue with the Canada electronic timer, so we may have to wait for that until a little later. But Great Britain, Canada and Poland, yeah, there's Canada at 1/100th of a second behind Great Britain at the finish. Great Britain, Canada, Poland through to the semi-finals of the women's double sculls.
1 centesimo di secondo, 6,54,34 contro 6,54,35. Finalmente una gara con 0,01. Vittoria della Gran Bretagna, poi il Canada secondo.
We now move on to the repechage in the men's double sculls with Korea, China 2, Poland, Norway, Indonesia and Denmark.
Abbiamo ora un'altra grande sfida, è il recupero del doppio maschile con Corea, Cina, Polonia, Norvegia, Indonesia e Danimarca. Dovrebbe essere la Norvegia, almeno sulla carta, ma vedremo cosa succederà.
Very little to separate these crews. Certainly the top 4, top 5, very close indeed, Robert, as they approach you.
Yes, and I was looking at the lineup trying to second guess who might be the favourites to qualify from this rep in the men's double sculls, because Very few of these combinations have previous form. The only exceptions being the Poles, Kasparek and Litka in lane 3, who survive unchanged from the B finalists at last year's World Championships. But of course, I'd failed to note the pedigree on the Norwegian boat, where Christopher Brun in the stroke seat is a former lightweight world champion in this boat discipline. And here he is with his new partner, Jan Helvig, in the bow seat, leading the way down to the halfway mark and very much setting the pace in this repechage, where 3 will go through to join the 9 who qualified from this morning's heats. But the big question is, who will join the Norwegians if the positions remain unchanged? Now, here's a thing, because Poland look to be in a clear second place, a whisker ahead of, believe it or not, Indonesia. Iram and Memo, who are out of last year's quadruple scull that contested the minor placings in Racice, and that really would be a turn up for the books if Indonesia can hang on to that 3rd place. But they're still doing it. China are in 4th, ahead of Denmark and Korea. As Norway continue to maintain the advantage of Poland, can Indonesia do it, Niamh?
You know what? I think they might, Robert. I know there's still quite a bit in this race, but looking across, they're looking very comfortable here as they're coming up towards 1,400 meters here. It is no doubt about it. Norway have been leading it out, and they are still in that 1st position, staying nice and controlled, 36 strokes per minute. But then in that 2nd place, Poland, and if I'm looking at the boat speeds here, they are just a tiny bit faster than that crew from Indonesia, who are holding on to that 3rd position. Hot on their heels, though, in that 4th spot is China too. So there's 4 boats very close together there now, with 3 boats going into the semi-final. So at the moment, it could be anyone's. It is great to see Indonesia hanging on in there, and they have increased their speed. They are now faster than the leaders, who are Norway still. They're faster than the 2nd place, who are Poland. So that means they're kind of opening up that little bit more of a lead ahead of China too. But let's see, there's still about 250 meters to go, so let's see who can respond. At the moment, Norway still hanging on to that lead, Poland in 2nd, but Indonesia are putting on a big push here now to try and get into possibly that 2nd position, Rob.
I know. Isn't that amazing? I think that's hugely impressive. It's just, can they sustain it with the caliber of boats they got around them? Norway, Poland, and then People's Republic of China just behind. But let's keep an eye on this Indonesian boat in lane 5.
Ancora al centro della scena però c'è la Norvegia, una Norvegia arrembante, una Norvegia che conosce molto bene il lago di Varese. Si sono allenati su questo campo di regata per gran parte della stagione invernale ed ora ci credono davvero. Il capovoglia Oscar sta cercando davanti di far la differenza, ma attenzione all'esterno, ancora l'attacco della Polonia, ma è ancora la Norvegia a mettere in sicurezza la vittoria in questa del doppio maschile.
This is a really exciting finish. It's going to be Norway finishing ahead of Poland, or is it even going to be Indonesia in 2nd? It's bow ball to bow ball as they cross the line, but without doubt Indonesia have qualified for the semi-finals. Whether it's in 2nd place or 3rd place, they won't mind a jot, but we can confirm that just as soon as the electronic timings come up. Norway definitely in 1st place, and then just behind them is Poland in 2nd, which will give Indonesia that 3rd semi-final qualification spot. What a race from them. Many congratulations. Next on the water, it's the repechage for the men's 4.
Prossima del nostro programma è il recupero del 4 senza maschile.
The lineup sees Italy 1 in lane 1, China 2 in lane 2, France 2 in lane 3, another boat from Indonesia taking up lane 4 with Hong Kong China in lane 5.
Ed ecco quindi gli azzurri in corsia numero 1, la seconda formazione qui nominata, Italia 1, poi ci sono Cina, Francia, Indonesia e Hong Kong China.
So this Indonesian boat won't know the success of their compatriots in qualifying for the semi-finals in that men's double just now. But how is this one looking at 800 metres, Robert?
Well, we've got France leading the way at this relatively early stage. France, who built this crew out of last year's under 23-8, failed to reach a medal on that occasion. A competition, of course, which was held right here on Lake Varese. Haven't seen too much of these athletes since, although a couple of them did contest the Europeans in the pair and finished down the rankings. So they'll be glad to be winning this repechage at this stage and hopefully progressing through to the semi-finals. Now, the bad news for the Indonesian boat is that they are currently out of a qualifying position because the pressure from the leaders means that we have just seen France overhauled by Italy, with them go China, and the pressure from that leading trio means that they've drawn further and further ahead of Indonesia, who are trailing back in fourth position, only by about 2/3 of a length, but still that's a lot to make up when we're talking about crews of this pedigree in the lead. Hong Kong, China, unfortunate for them on this occasion, out of contention, trailing the field back in fifth place. So as the third quarter opens up, well, Italy have taken on the mantle of race leader. They rebuilt the crew from the four that contested the Worlds last year, finished down the rankings, although they won the C final in Varese. They'll be hoping for better things to come Belgrade later on this season, where they're looking hopefully to qualify for Paris next year. But first there's this World Cup to get out of the way. Italy leading the way, France in second, Neve.
Incredible race here by Italy over on the far side in lane 1. They've been racing at 40 for pretty much the whole way down. One of the fastest themselves, and People's Republic of China too, both racing at 40 there. But the Italians are translating that better into their boat speed. But France too, they're really just a tiny little bit behind them in that second position. They've actually put on a push here now as they come up towards that 1500 metre mark. So the French boat is now the fastest boat out there. So they're now trying to make a good go at getting ahead of Italy now in these late stages of the race. People's Republic of China too in a really impressive third position there. There's a great battle between the three of them, but as you said, Robert, there, that battle up ahead has really just moved them quite a bit away from the rest of the field. So we have Indonesia currently in fourth and Hong Kong, China then in fifth, but it keeps going back and forth between Italy and France. I know Luke is going to be excited about this one. Rob, I'm not sure how it's looking up there, but definitely Italy, France, dead even at the moment, with China in that third position.
Yeah, that's going to be fun to watch, particularly with Luca alongside me. I wonder what he makes of these closing stages.
Ancora l'assalto, la Francia sull'Italia, la Francia che sta cercando di rientrare, si è nascosta al centro del percorso in acqua numero 3. Gli azzurri si sono fatti avanti, hanno dimostrato di avere una marcia in più per i primi 1500 metri e ora lo vogliono fare anche in chiusura con Luca e Marco vicino, Salvatore Monfrecola, Nunzio Di Colandrea, 4 moschettieri con 4 storie diverse. La Francia lancia l'assalto conclusivo, gli azzurri non vogliono mollare e quando ci si mette anche il cuore il carottaggio diventa ancora più spettacolare. Passa la Francia, l'Italia è seconda.
Well, don't be so sure. Yeah, France are crossing the line in first place, Italy in second. That was a great, great race. And so they come home with China taking that third semi-final spot. The race is never over until it's over.
Can I steal that?
You can. It's all
La
yours.
gara non è mai finita fino a quando non è finita. That's the translation.
Is that what I said? Great, lovely. Another repechage. It's the women's 4 and 4 crews contesting 3 semi-final spots. From China 2 in lane 1, Hong Kong, China in lane 2, Japan in lane 3, and Poland in lane 4. Robert, they're coming your way.
Yeah, they are indeed, Rob. I think Poland must have regarded themselves as mighty unlucky not to have qualified in this morning's heats, because they are setting an absolutely cracking pace despite being in an outside lane. So not only did they fail to qualify after this morning's race, but they did so in a slow time. And I'm suspecting that in fact they must have had some minor upset that we didn't notice, because they are cruising away to a clear lead approaching the halfway mark. With them go in second place, well, it's the second Chinese boat built out of last year's Chinese 8 that contested the World Championships. They've got a marginal lead on this new combination from Japan, so the real pressure point and off the race pace by a distance at this halfway mark, well, that's the Hong Kong-China combination, who, despite recording a bronze medal at Zagreb last month, it was against a relatively small field, and I think that might have given them a false sense of security. But they've got quite a distance to make up if they're going to move into one of the qualifying positions. So Poland cracking along as Japan try and challenge China for second place. Hong Kong, China fourth. Over to you, Niamh.
Yeah, Poland putting on a great show here for us. Still leading it out in this women's 4 repechage. The only repechage here, 4 crews competing. Out of these crews, they were the second fastest in the heats earlier today, but they've really just maintained that rate and that speed throughout the whole race. But over on the far side as well, one to watch is People's Republic of China 2. Their boat speed as well there. I think once they passed that halfway mark, they did up it a little bit, trying to make sure that they stay in that second spot. So 3 of these boats are going into the semi-final. 4 boats here, obviously, and it is Hong Kong China who is in that 4th position at the moment. Looking at the boat speeds, Poland though, they're just looking so strong. Wind has picked up a tiny little bit more now again here as the sun is bouncing off the water as I look out at the crews, but Poland just cruising along with China still in that 2nd position. They've matched the Polish speed there now, and then it is the crew from Japan in that 3rd spot. So at the moment they're the qualifying boats, but still 500 meters to go here in this race. Poland though, I don't think there's any catching them at this stage. They look just so good, so comfortable, so in control here at the moment. Then there is about 10 meters between China 2 and Japan. I can see Japan putting in a bit of a push here now, but all 3 crews there know that they are very comfortable here now to get a semi-final spot, with Hong Kong, China just passing that 1600 meter mark now. So again, looking at the speeds, it looks like People's Republic of China 2 are trying to up it a little bit, but every time they go for it, it's no match to Poland, because they just respond and go for it as well. That's the advantage of being in the lead here in this race. So coming up to 200 meters to go, it is Poland in 1st position, People's Republic of China in 2nd, we have Japan in 3rd, and Hong Kong China in 4th, Rob.
Thank you, Niamh. Yes, Poland racing a very classy race here, aren't they? But it's good that they're being pushed all the way by People's Republic of China, make them aware of what they could be up against in the coming rounds, with Japan in 3rd.
E ancora questo vantaggio della Polonia mette in sicurezza la promozione, una promozione certa ormai insieme a Cina e Giappone. Sembra solo Hong Kong China oramai fuori dalla portata generale. Vedete il vantaggio assoluto per la formazione polacca, che così mette la firma su questo recupero.
So down to the finish line, and Poland maintain that lead. They win by a length and a quarter from Hong Kong China over in lane 2, and a couple of lengths further back from them is Japan. That's the 1, 2, 3, the qualification spots for the AB semi-finals for the women's 4. For China 2, their regatta is over. Making their way down the course now is the first repechage in the women's single sculls, with Korea Sweden, China 2, Denmark, Poland and Algeria. It looks pretty close at the front. 2 or 3 boats vying for 2 semi-final spots here, Robert.
It does indeed, but in fact it's the Polish sculler Marta Wieliczko who is leading the field at the halfway mark, but it is so close because within a whisker we've got the Chinese athlete Zhu Hong and the veteran Dane Fie Udby Eriksson, who are within about 1.5 meters of each other. Boom, boom, boom. Just like that. That's the markers as they cross the intermediate timing signal. And don't forget, they are racing for only 2 places in the AB semi-final. It really is that close. A little way back in 4th and 5th, we've got Anna Svenung of Sweden over on the far side and Nihed Ben-Chadli of Algeria on the grandstand side, and then slipping off the race pace, the Korean athlete Park Ji-yoon. Good to see Ben-Chadli taking part, the Algerian who has contested the lightweight single scull at the under-23 level for the last couple of seasons. But here she is contesting the open weight division, and I suspect she's got her eye on qualifying the single for the Olympics by virtue of the African qualification regatta that will take place this October, and gaining valuable race experience despite the fact that she's up against scullers with greater experience at this level here in this first repechage of the women's singles. So the nip and tuck that is occurring between China and Poland continues. Denmark still hanging on grimly into 3rd position, but no, even as I'm describing the situation, Eriksson's experience is on her side. The silver medalist from London 2012 with that sort of pedigree, it's bound to give you an extra go, and she is vying with China for the lead. Neve.
What a race taking place out there at the moment. It is going China in first place, Denmark in first place. It is just going bow to bow here now as they come up towards 1,500 meters. It is Denmark who is just a tiny little bit faster. So as they go past me now, I will call it because there's literally nothing between them now. It does look like Denmark now just moving in to that lead ever so slightly ahead of China there, and then Poland back in that 3rd spot. So 2 of these rowers going into the semi-finals, so this battle is not over yet. Then back in that 4th spot we have Sweden, followed by Algeria and Korea. But up the top of the field, these 3 rowers are really just pushing each other on. Poland just falling back ever so slightly here, so it's still at the moment a race between Denmark and People's Republic of China too for that 1st spot. But we'll see now, because there's still about 300 meters to go, if that Polish sculler can up it another little bit to try and get back into those first 2 spots. But looking at the speeds, they are matched here, Denmark and China too. Very little separating them now at the moment. I think China have it back now, back on into the lead. It is literally stroke for stroke. I can't call it at this stage. But as it stands, it is China 2, I will call it, Denmark and Poland in 3, Rob.
Brave of you. Yeah, it could go any way, couldn't it? But it looks like we know the first 3. The important thing is who are going to be the first 2 crews to cross the line and get into that semi-final.
Chi saranno i primi 2 nostri guerrieri a passare il turno? La Danimarca, la Cina, oppure riuscirà ad infilarsi anche la Polonia? 3 ragazze straordinarie a contendersi le uniche 2 piazze valide per il passaggio del turno. Da un lato la Danimarca, dall'altro la Cina, ma nel mezzo prova ad infilarsi anche la Polonia. E allora grande assalto in questi ultimi 100 metri.
It's the Chinese athlete over in lane 3 who's taking long strokes, and it's pushing her through. She takes first. Who's going to get second? It's absolutely dead heat between Fie Udby Eriksson of Denmark and Marta Wieliczko of Poland. It's too close for me to call. Neve is brave. She might call it if she were in the tower, and it looks like it's gone the way of Poland's Marta Wieliczko. So disappointment for Fie Udby Eriksson, just 5/100ths of a second outside qualification for the AB semi-final. She will go through to the C final. That's disappointing for her, as I say, but what a tremendous push from the Chinese athlete in lane 1 to take first place, and from Marta Wieliczko of Poland, who takes second.
Promozione per Cina e Polonia, l'avevamo chiamata molto vicina. Terza piazza, purtroppo fuori dai giochi, la Danimarca.
So how will that repechage 2 in the women's singles shape up after that bit of excitement? We have Chinese Taipei in lane 1, we have Italy in lane 2, Czech Republic in lane 3, Japan in 4, Brazil lane 5, Germany in lane 6, Germany 2 that is, and Robert Trahan-Jones, they are almost upon you.
They are indeed, and it's Anna Centrikova of the Czech Republic who is leading the way, closely followed by Yonakawa Shiho of Japan, the athlete who led her heat earlier this morning, but then blew up inside the last 200 meters. So here she is trying to make amends by securing a semi-final qualification slot here in the repechage. So that's the 1-2, Czech Republic followed by Japan. Third place, well, that's the Brazilian athlete, Cunha Tavares Cardoso. Fourth position, Elisa Mondelli of Italy. Fifth is Lisa Goodfleisch of Germany, and then Huang Yiting of Chinese Taipei, a little bit off the race pace back in sixth position. Well, such is the pace of this race. They are already 1,300 metres in, so let's get the latest from Neve.
They are flying down this course, that is right. It is Czech Republic still hanging on to that lead, but just hot on her heels. It is the sculler from Japan, currently in that second position. So 2 boats here now again going to be going into the semi-final. So there's a big battle between the 2 of these who will get a first and second, but still within contention. It is the sculler from Brazil in that third position. Then we have Italy in 4th, Germany 2 and 5th, and Chinese Taipei then in that 6th position. So they're just coming up roughly to 1,500 meters, just a few meters off it here. It's interesting to see they're both rating around 30, 31, but it is the sculler from Czech Republic who has just a tiny bit higher speed in her boat, which means she is still hanging on to that lead there as she goes through, heading for 1,600 meters. Then Japan in that second place, and just a little bit back is the sculler from Brazil in that third position. Good race then as well for that 4th and 5th between Italy and Germany too, and then back in that 6th position, just passing me here at 1,500 meters, it is Chinese Taipei. But it does look like Czech Republic is moving up a little bit, opening up a bit of a gap now over Japan as they come up to about 250 meters to go, Rob.
Thanks, Steve. It does indeed look like Czech Republic and Japan will get those all-important AB semi-final spots, but all the positions are important here too, because places 3 to 5 will go through to the C final, 6th place will go through to the D final, so there's something in it for everybody here.
C'è spazio per tutti, giustamente Rob stava dicendo. Attenzione però, perché l'obiettivo è quello di entrare in semifinale. La semifinale per poter rincorrere la finalissima assoluta. Ed ecco quindi l'attacco della Repubblica Ceca con il Giappone per la prima e la seconda posizione. Oramai piazze delineate, definite. Questa leggera brezza a favore facilita la vita alla Repubblica Ceca, ed eccola là davanti insieme al Giappone per mettere in sicurezza la promozione e il passaggio del turno. Per la terza posizione continua a rimanere comunque in contatto il Brasile, ma è proprio ancora una volta la scaller della Repubblica Ceca a dettare legge in questa del singolo femminile.
Yes, Centrikova of the Czech Republic is going to come through and take first place ahead of Japan's Yonakawa. It's about a length in it as they cross the line. So those 2 crews are through to the AB semi-final. For the Brazilian sculler, Beatriz Cunha Tavares Cardoso, it's a place in the C final. It's been a terrific race this year in the women's single sculls, but Czech Republic, Japan through to the AB semi-final. We now move into the quarter-finals of the men's single sculls. Quarter-final 1 well down the course with Azerbaijan, France 1, Canada, Italy 1, France 2, and Sweden. If you can separate these crews from where you are, Robert, you're a braver man than I am.
Well, I'm closer to the action than you are at the halfway mark, where we have the tantalizing glimpse of the Onfroy brothers sculling against each other. I can't remember the last time we saw that happen. And it's the younger brother, Valentin Onfroy, in lane 5, who has this lead, but just by the narrowest possible margin ahead of the Italian, David Mumolo. Then in third position, Théophile Onfroy, just a whisker behind. So that's the 1, 2, 3 at the halfway mark, looking to qualify for the semi-final. Fourth position, here's a turn up for the books. Trevor Jones, the veteran Olympian, been representing his nation in the single scull for a good few years now, but currently missing a qualifying slot unless he can do something special in the third quarter. Off the race pace at this stage, Bachman Naziri of Azerbaijan over there in lane 1, and Eskil Borg of Sweden on the grandstand side in 6. Well, the position beginning to pan out a little, but it's still Valentin Onfroy leading the way down to Nives.
This is such a great race, but as you said that there, the Italian sculler David Mumolo moving up a little bit. So he is, his speed is just a little bit higher than Onfroy there for France too. So let's see as they come up towards 1400 meters if he's going to put it in a push. It certainly looks like it from where I am. So at the top of the race at the moment, just hanging in there, it is Valentin Onfroy, France 2, just ahead of Italy 1. Then back in third, we have the other Onfroy brother for France 1. And then in that fourth spot, it is Sweden, followed by Azerbaijan and Canada. They're just passing me here now. Italy really going for it here. So top 3 boats looking for semi-final spots, but there's 4 boats really in contention here at the minute. And the sculler closest to me here in lane 6, Borg of Sweden there, looking actually very strong as he passed really staying within touching distance of those front boats. But at the moment, it is France 2 just hanging on to that lead ahead of Italy 1. I can see the other Onfroy brother over in lane 2 really again putting in a push, trying to stay ahead of Sweden, who are currently in that 4th position, back to Azerbaijan and Canada. I'm not sure I'm brave enough to call this one now, Rob, because it is very close between France 2, Italy 1, France 1, and Sweden still hanging in there as well.
Oh, come on, Niamh, be a sport, I dare you. Okay, we'll take over. We'll see how they do coming down to the line, but it is very, very close. This is just the sort of contest we love to watch.
Un arrivo ancora una volta straordinario, perché da un lato ci sono 2 atleti francesi a contendersi 2 piazze per l'accesso in semifinale, ma al centro c'è Davide Mumolo, l'azzurro, classe 1994, che prova in questo momento ad andare a prendere a sportellate i 2 avversari francesi per l'orgoglio azzurro in terra italiana. Eccolo all'assalto Davide Mumolo, che si porta a casa l'accesso in semifinale indipendentemente da quello che sarà la piazza sul traguardo. Francia e Italia per le prime 3 piazze.
Something about a latte in there. I'm not sure what it was, but it's really close coming to the line. It's going to be Théophile Onfroy who takes first place just, and then second and third looked very close. It could have been Italy. It could have been France too. Let's just wait for the final official scores. Théophile Onfroy getting first place. Then Davide Mumolo of Italy in second. Who's got that third semi-final spot? It is the other Onfroy. Valentin Onfroy of France gets third place. So Onfroy 1, Onfroy 3, and Mumolo of Italy 2. Second quarter-final of the men's single sculls is underway with Andre Pinto of Portugal in lane 1. It's Finland in 2, Germany 1 in lane 3, Hungary in lane 4. In lane 5, it's the Netherlands. 6 is Israel. And again, we can expect a really close and exciting race here, Robert.
We can indeed, and here's another turn up for the books because Ollie Zeidler, up until the 800-meter mark, was being led by another Dutch athlete, Wieboud Rustenburg, just in the same way that he was led in the final of last year's European Championships by Melvin Twellar. But that disadvantage has certainly woken up the world champion and has come powering back inside the last 200 meters to take on half a length lead at the halfway mark. So it's Zeidler in first, Rustenburg in second, then Petervari Molnar Bendegus for Hungary in third. Fourth position at this stage, Danny Fridman back in action for the first time in some 4 years, and trailing the field now Karinen of Finland and Pinto for Portugal. So the three leaders to go through, and dare I say it, that the positions are already sorted because the pace from the three leaders and the fact that they've got a clear water advantage is bound to give them an edge. We've talked about the psychology of leads quite a lot today, and the psychology of being broken by clear water at a relatively early stage in the race. It leaves the tail enders with a mountain to climb. Well, Zeidler is leading, continues, and if anything, has extended his margin over Rustenburg. Let's get the latest from Niamh.
He has extended that lead. I think he went through the 1200-meter mark, realised that the sculler from Netherlands was not too far away from him, and he just upped it just a slight bit, just to open up a little bit more of a lead, just to stay comfortable in case anything went against him in the later stages of this race. So at the moment, it is still Zeidler in that first place, Rustenburg then of Netherlands in second, and then third at the moment, looking quite comfortable. They're just starting to approach me now, just coming into view out my window here. So Hungary then in that third position, and then so there's a battle here between those three, and then just a little bit back the field then we have another great race between Israel on the closest side to us here in lane 6, Portugal over on the far side, and Finland. We did see Finland there earlier while they're currently in that 6th spot. Joel Nakarinen, he blasted through the final quarter of his race, so let's see if he can do anything special here at the moment. But it is only the top 3 boats going into the semi-final spots. And it is Zeidler still very comfortably holding on to that lead ahead of Netherlands, Rustenburg there, and then still sitting in that third position. There doesn't seem to be too much of a change. It is Hungary. So there is about 300 meters or so to go. Looking across at the speed, Andre Pinto there of Portugal over on the far side. Really, he's been putting in such a great fight over on the far side. He's keeping his rate quite steady around 36, 37, but his speed has been quite up. He's now the fastest boat over on the far side of the course. So I wonder, is he looking at that third spot to see if it's opened up there, Rob?
He'd certainly be keen to get into there, wouldn't he, to get that qualification spot for the semi-final. I don't know. He may be looking at his C final right now, but it's Zeidler of Germany, from Rustenburg of Netherlands, and Petervari Molnar of Hungary in those semi-final spots right now.
Guardate che bello spettacolo, il canottaggio che ci piace, con Oliver Zeidler lì al centro del percorso. Fa grande la Germania e lo fa ancora una volta nella sua specialità, il suo cavallo di battaglia, il singolo, schiacciando gli avversari con 2 imbarcazioni di vantaggio. La porta a casa la vittoria del quarto di finale.
It's a huge win for Zeidler of Germany 1 in lane 3. He takes first place. Second place goes to Rustenburg of the Netherlands. Third is Petervari Molnar of Hungary. So for Pinto, it's a C final, but the A, B semi-final spots go to Zeidler of Germany, Rustenburg of the Netherlands, and Petervari Molnar of Hungary. Quarterfinal 3 in the men's single sculls. For the Czech Republic, Thomas Sisma in lane 1. Aaron Andries of Belgium 2 in lane 2. USA 1 is James Flaal. In lane 4 for Denmark, Sverre Nielsen. Lane 5, Belgium 1, Tim Brees. And Piotr Plominski of Poland 1 in lane 6. Robert, it's another close one. Of course it is.
Of course it is, and one of the big surprises of this morning's racing, for me at least, was the fact that the Danish sculler Sverre Nielsen failed to qualify direct for the semi-finals. But here he is making amends and doing so in some style, leading the way as the scullers approach the halfway mark. He's gone about half a length up on Tim Brice, the Belgian athlete, in the lane immediately to his right. Third place, that's Plominski for Poland. Then fourth over there on the far side, I think that's Tomasz Sisma of the Czech Republic, followed by Plihal of the USA and Andries, the other Belgian sculler, in sixth position. Well, as before, only the leading three will count, and as the previous quarter-final, the positions becoming apparently clear. Again, there is a gap of clear water between the leading trio and the tail enders, so the pressure very much on James Plihal, the American out of last year's World Championship quadruple scull, to cross that margin and make up. It's about a length and a quarter he's got to do in a single scull. Yes, it's possible, but the pace that is being set by the three leaders makes that increasingly less likely as the scullers proceed. We're already at 1,200 metres. Let's see what Niamh thinks.
Yeah, you're right. The last few races here, we're really seeing kind of two separate races taking place on the water at the same time, and it is no different now. So at the moment, Sverre Nielsen of Denmark leading it out from the start. Nice and steady, 35 strokes a minute, and he is the fastest boat out on the water at the moment. So opening up a little bit of a lead over a great battle that is happening between Belgium 1 and Poland 1. So Plominski there in lane 6, closest to us here. Brice in lane 5 for Belgium. So great race between both of those rowers. They're actually very similar styles looking out at them. They're rating very similar, speeds are very similar. So they're kind of looking over at each other, wondering if they should go, if they'll compete, because obviously it's three boats going through into the semi-final. So both of them are safe as it stands at the moment. But I'm sure they'll want to get bragging rights, as Rob keeps chatting about there, because it's always helpful to move ahead of your competitor, just to show them what you're made of, really. So still leading it out, still holding on to that gap. It is Sverre Nielsen of Denmark leading it out ahead of Tim Brice there of Belgium. And then in that third spot, just behind Brice, is Plominski then of Poland, and then just a little bit back we have USA in fourth, Czech Republic in fifth, and Belgium 2 in that sixth position. Is it all sewn up there for you, Rob?
I think it is, certainly in terms of who the front three are going to be. It's just which order they finish in, but Sverre Nielsen of Denmark is looking pretty assertive here.
Un vantaggio assoluto, l'abbiamo sentito per tutto il percorso, e negli ultimi 250 metri si avvera la profezia. La Danimarca continua a fare l'andatura con Sverre Nielsen davanti a Tim Brice, atleta del Belgio, che viene tallonato dall'atleta della Polonia. Sono queste le tre formazioni che provano a rinvenire ancora una volta per le uniche tre piazze valide per il passaggio del turno. E se da un lato la carovana viene trainata dalla Danimarca, per la seconda e terza piazza, Belgio e Polonia non vogliono lasciare nemmeno le briciole agli avversari per evitare il rischio di un possibile rientro degli avversari, ed è così che si avvera la profezia, con la Danimarca lì davanti a controllare questo quarto di finale del singolo.
Final few strokes for these athletes. Sverre Nielsen of Denmark in lane 4 takes first place ahead of Tim Brice of Belgium 1 in lane 5. He is second. Piotr Plominski of Poland in lane 6. He is in third. Those are the three semi-finalists. Bad luck, such bad luck for the other contestants who miss out on the opportunity of medals, but they're through to their own finals. It's either a C or a D final for the remaining crews. So the fourth and final quarter-final of the men's single sculls sees China 2 in lane 1, Brazil in lane 2, Japan in lane 3, in lane 4 it's USA 2, in lane 5 it's Monaco, and Norway in lane 6. It's another one where it's very difficult to break them down. Certainly the front four boats all very, very close, Robert.
Yes, and I was going to describe how Arakawa Ryuta for Japan was leading the way and become the second open weight sculler this afternoon from that nation to qualify for the next round. But even as I'm describing the scene, Canton Antonielli, the Monegasque sculler, has come right up on his stern and is absolutely vying for the lead. And every stroke they take puts their own bow ball in front, so they are within less than half a metre of each other. It is that close up at the head of the field. And with 3 places to go through to the next round for the 4th and final time in these quarterfinals, well, with them goes the Brazilian, Lucas Vertine Ferreira. But unlike the previous quarterfinals, there is no massive gap of clear water astern of them. And so it's the American, Andrew Leroux, I think, making his international debut here on Lake Varese. That's where the pressure point, but he has a lot less than his compatriot James Plihal to make up from the previous race if he's going to take one of the semi-final qualification places. So the 1, 2, 3 at the halfway mark. Arakawa followed by Antonielli and Vertine for Brazil. Then we've got Andrew Leroux. Now here's another surprise. Kjetil Borch, the former world champion from Norway, 2018 world champion, is out of contention, having a terrible race. He's really got his work cut out in the 3rd quarter if he's going to make up on the leaders. Japan still leading then. Over to you, Neve.
This is a brilliant race to watch here. They're coming flying down towards me here in the final quarter-final of the men's single sculls. It is still Japan hanging on to that lead, just ever so slightly ahead of Monaco in that 2nd place, then Brazil in 3rd, then back to 4th we have USA 2, followed by Norway and China 2 then on the far side. So I'll call it now as they go through, because it has been changing a little bit. Monaco have really been coming, but as it stands, they're just coming up to 1,500 meters there. I think Japan just about still hanging on, just about, I say. There's literally nothing in this race at the top of the field here in the men's single sculls. So 3 of these boats will be progressing to the semi-final. At the moment, it is still unchanged in that it is Brazil, Monaco and Japan still leading it out there. So there are your 3 boats up the top, but then a great race between USA 2, Andrew Leroux, and Borch of Norway there in 4 and 5. And then we have the People's Republic of China over on the far side in lane 1. It does look like that there really isn't much change. It does look like Monaco maybe has that bit of an edge in terms of boat speed, but looking like Japan just hanging in there now. About 200 meters to go. Monaco, I think, are going to put on a push here. We can see the rate rising a little bit now, Rob.
It's impressive, isn't it, from Canton Antonielli of Monaco. It looks like it's probably too much of a job now for Andrew Leroux of the USA to push through, because these front 3 boats are really all in a race of their own.
Una gara di quelle che ti entra nel cuore, una gara che permette anche di avverare un sogno. Guardate al centro della scena, oltre al Giappone, c'è Quentin Antonielli, atleta di Monaco, ma che di fatto è residente a Gavirate, si allena sotto la direzione tecnica di Giovanni Calabrese. Passa il turno per andare in semifinale ed è così che si avvera con Monaco e il Giappone per le prime 2 piazze.
Oh, it's a terrific finish here from Antonielli to finish in 2nd place for Monaco, just behind Arakawa of Japan. He took 1st, so it's Japan 1st, Monaco in 2nd, Brazil taking that 3rd spot for the semi-finals. I'm very grateful to Robert Trahan-Jones for reminding me that someone from Monaco is a Monegasque. Well done, Canton Antonielli. So after all the excitement of the quarterfinals in the men's singles, we now have the lightweight women's double sculls.
Abbiamo ora la gara numero 74 del nostro programma, il primo recupero del doppio pesi leggeri femminile. Una gara che sta particolarmente a cuore all'Italia perché in corsia numero 2 abbiamo Federica Cesarini e Silvia Crosio.
Nice. Japan, Italy, we heard a bit about there. China 2, USA 2, Indonesia and Chinese Taipei racing this one. First three go through to the semi-finals, and Robert, they're just coming up to you now.
And excellent news for the home crowd here on Lake Varese because Crosio and Cesarini are leading the way home for Italy. Crosio in the bow seat, a world champion in the lightweight women's quad last year, racing with her new partner. She won the small final at the Europeans and looking set for a semi-final place here at the World Cup. They go through the halfway mark, about a length and a half up on Burson on Jones of the USA, who are followed in third position by the new combination from China, Zhang Wenxia and Hu Jiangli. Back in fourth position, well, very difficult to choose, but I think it's the Japanese combination, Kakishima and Hiroshi, with Indonesia and Chinese Taipei off the race pace at this stage. So I suspect that it's another of those races where the qualifiers have already been sorted because the pace that's being set by Italy ahead of the USA and China. Let's get the latest from Neve.
They are setting an incredible pace. As you said, Robert, their speed has been increasing and it's just staying there. They've really opened up now a nice lead over USA 2. They're just passing about 1,300 meters, so they're just coming into my view here now. But their speed has been incredible. They're rating around 37 strokes a minute, which is quite different to USA's 33 strokes. But we can see USA still keeping their speed up there. They're now matching Italy there now. So we'll see if they can start to bring those meters down. It's currently 18 meters between first and second place. Then in that third position at the moment, it's a very important position to be in today. It is People's Republic of China 2. They are just hanging in to that third position. Their speed is quite a bit lower than the top two boats, but it is higher than the final three boats now. So they're just coming up to 1,500 meters here now. Italy looking so good. Their higher rate just really suits them. They're really snappy on their catch, really snappy on their finishes, but looking so in control. USA now putting on a big push. They realize they have 500 meters to go here. So again, they're after increasing their speed here, keeping a rate around 34 strokes per minute. China as well, China 2 still in that third position. Then back and forth we have Japan, in fifth we have Indonesia, and in that sixth position Chinese Taipei, just coming up to me here now at 1,500 meters. So there's about less than 300 meters to go. It looks like those top three spots for the semi-final might be taken. It's looking like Italy are going to hang on to that lead. They've actually dropped the rate ever so slightly, but still maintaining that lead ahead of USA 2 and China 2, Rob.
Yeah, lovely description, Neve, of the Italian crew, and maybe they can afford to drop back just a little bit now. There is separation between them and the USA. There's separation between the USA and the People's Republic of China for those three semi-final spots.
Ancora una grande soddisfazione per i padroni di casa che ritrovano una coppia con una nuova dose di energia. Federica Cesarini da Bardello, Silvia Crosio invece torinese, una formazione tutta da scoprire, nuova, diversa, dinamica, insieme proiettate verso il domani, ed eccole qui da grandi protagoniste a suonare la sinfonia là davanti con l'azzurro che luccica sul lago di Varese e porta l'Italia in semifinale.
It's a clear, seemingly effortless win for Italy. Not effortless at all, of course, but terrific, and probably a couple of lengths gap between them and USA 2 in second place. China 2 grabbed that third semi-final spot. The remaining crews will contest the C final of the lightweight women's double sculls. On to the second repechage of the lightweight women's double sculls. Switzerland 2 are in lane 1 alongside Germany in lane 2. Poland taking up lane 3 with Peru in 4. Hong Kong, China in lane 5. Poland perhaps with the strongest start. They're just coming through in first place at around the 800-metre mark, where we'll ask Robert Trahan-Jones to pick up the story.
Yes, Poland looking very strong indeed. Sobocinska and Kalinowska, who took the bronze medal in this event on this lake in the under-23 lightweight women's double sculls. One place behind the Palacios twins for Peru, who took the silver medal on that occasion, but the positions reversed here in the repechage for the lightweight women's double sculls, because Poland leading the way home ahead of Germany in second place. Or is it? No, Switzerland over there on the far side. Elina Roll and Olivia Nacht are holding on to second place. Then we've got the Reichhardt twins for Germany. Then in fourth place, the Palacios twins, and Wong and Hung for Hong Kong, China in fifth. Great to see two sets of twins taking part in this race. Twins are quite a feature of lightweight double sculls for both men and women over the years. They have a special synchrony and purpose, which is a hallmark of this particular boat class. And for those who know twins, they even have their own special language, which helps them on to greater efforts in their athletic performance. But on this occasion, it's the non-twins, Sobocinska and Kalinowska, maintaining that lead, heading up Switzerland and Germany, who are holding on to the qualifying slots. Neve.
Yes, 3 boats to go through here in this semi-final. It is that Polish crew. They've been leading out. We've seen that quite a few of the races today, where they go out at a great rate, they go out at a great speed, and they just are really able to maintain that throughout the whole 2,000 metres. So as I say that, going through the 1,400 metres, they were looking to increase their speed a little bit now, just to make sure that they keep that lead that they have ahead of Germany, who are sitting in that second place. And then, apologies, no, it is Switzerland in that second place, Germany in that third position, but it keeps kind of going back and forth between them. They're just coming up to 1,500 metres here now, and it is the crew from Poland again staying nice and controlled here in the lead. Great position to be in, and it is Switzerland 2 over on the far side in lane 1. Just about holding on to the lead ahead of Germany. They're your 1, 2 and 3 at the moment. And then out of contention at the moment for those semi-final spots, we have the crews closest to the lakeside here, which is Peru and Hong Kong, China. But great race here. The Polish crew really have not let up at all. Their rate is a little bit lower than the rest. They're rating down around 33, whereas Germany and Switzerland too are up around that 36 mark. But their speed is just brilliant, and they've been holding it throughout the race. So as they come up towards the final 200 metres, it does look like it will be Poland, but I'm not sure will Germany be able to come back and take that second place over Switzerland, Rob?
There is a chance, isn't there? There's very little in it, but as you've both been saying, Poland have looked so impressive from the outset. They're leading the way home.
Una grande occasione, una grande opportunità, ma soprattutto l'aria del riscatto. Polonia, Svizzera e Germania ormai viaggiano appaiate e sicure di poter recuperare quel divario accumulato stamattina per il passaggio del turno e l'accesso in semifinale. L'hanno fatto benissimo durante tutto il percorso e in questi ultimi 200 metri arriva la firma dopo aver lavorato con grande attenzione nell'ultima parte di gara. Polonia va ad allungare il margine di vantaggio sulla Svizzera, poi la Germania per le prime 3 piazze.
Germany are still pushing. They want the second spot. I don't think they're going to get it, but it's definitely Poland who will take first spot here. They come through a length and a half ahead of Switzerland 2 in lane 1. And in third place, it's Germany. Those are the 3 crews to the AB semi-final. Peru and Hong Kong, China will go through to contest the C final, and they're contesting a great finish between the two of them just now. Peru just pipping Hong Kong, China to 4th. Let's now turn our attention to the lightweight men's double sculls repechage with Japan in lane 1, Hong Kong, China in 2, China 2 in lane 3, Hungary in lane 4, Belgium 2 in lane 5. They're approaching Robert Trahan-Jones at 1,000 metres. Japan, I think, might have the lead. China 2 very close to them.
Well, in fact, it's China who hold on to the advantage here, Rob, with just 900 metres gone, so approaching the halfway mark. Now, very little to choose on the form book here because 4 of these 5 doubles are new combinations for this season, but China cross the intermediate timing mark 1 length up on Japan, the only one of these 5 to take part in last year's World Championships, where they finished way down the rankings in the D final on that occasion. Blomert and Vivet for Belgium, well, they're hanging on to the 3rd qualifying slot, marginally ahead of Galkso and Tamash for Hungary. And then trailing the field, Chan and Chan for Hong Kong, China in lane 2. But the margins are slim, so things could change. The only one that is off the race pace on this occasion, Hong Kong, China, several lengths of clear water astern of the rest of the pack. So the pressure point, as ever, is on the 4th placed crew, and that continues to be Hungary, who have about half a second to make up to make a qualifying slot. Niamh.
It's no surprise really that China too are in that leading position. Out of these boats earlier, they were by far the fastest, over 11 seconds faster than the rest of the crews out there in their respective heats earlier today. Who is surprising is Hong Kong, because they were 2nd fastest out of these crews earlier, but they are trailing back in that 5th position. It is hard racing in these conditions. It's very hot today, so it is hard to race 2 races within a few hours of each other, but out ahead in the lead, it is no doubt about it, it is still China 2 in that lead ahead of Japan, who are just 3 metres ahead of Belgium 2 here in lane 5. So they've gone past me now at 1,500 metres. So 4 boats out in that leading pack. Hong Kong just going past me there now. So as it stands, it is still very much all about China 2 here. Of course, 3 spots opened up for the semi-final. So at the moment, it is looking like China 2, Japan still quite comfortable in that 2nd position. Belgium 2 still hanging in into that 3rd position as well. Back to Hungary in 4th and Hong Kong, China in that 5th position. Looking across at the boat speeds, definitely China have been the fastest boat. But as I say that, Japan are trying to make a move here. They've upped it ever so slightly. So with 200 metres to go, let's see if they can break down the lead that China have had since the start, Rob.
Yeah, it's been a battle between the 2 of them, hasn't it? From the word go, Japan and China to Belgium to also in the mix here.
Una Cina strabiliante, una Cina capace di dominare per tutto il percorso, un recupero che di fatto rappresenta una sorta di riscatto anche a livello personale, ed è così che si va a chiudere con Cina, Giappone e Belgio, che nelle prime palate hanno dimostrato di poter sognare sul traguardo, realizzare la grande impresa del recupero per l'accesso in semifinale.
China 2 look so strong, they look so comfortable. I'm sure they're not as they come through the 2,000 metres. They just take it from Japan, who go through the line with a final flurry to take 2nd place. And in 3rd place, Belgium 2 here in lane 5. So it's Japan from China 2 in 1st place, then Japan in 2nd, Belgium 2 in 3rd for the semi-final spots of the lightweight men's double sculls. We now move on to our final race of the day. It's the repechage in the women's pair.
Anche le cose belle finiscono. Siamo arrivati all'ultimo recupero di giornata e il 2 senza femminile.
The lineup sees Korea in lane 1, Denmark in 2, France 2 alongside France 1 in lanes 3 and 4. How is that little competition going, Robert?
Well, in fact, we are just 700 metres in, and it's another of those races where it pays not to be last, because the 4th place crew in this one and only repechage will be eliminated from the competition, because these 4 are racing for the remaining 3 places to join the crews, the 9 crews that qualified from this morning's heats. Interesting tactics from the French selectors because they have split up the 4 that contested the Europeans 3 weeks ago into these 2 pairs that you see taking part in this rep, where Cornelis Ude and Ude representing France 1 are leading the field at the moment, and their compatriots Cornu d'Anjou and Brosse are just slipping back by about 2/3 of a length at this relatively early stage. 3rd position currently is Laidlaw and Cardell for Denmark, with Kim and Lee making their international debut from Korea. They are in 4th place. So the pressure point very much on the 4th placed Koreans as the crew come across the halfway mark in a perfect echelon right across the lake. So the margins here are such that I don't see the Koreans coming back from this deficit. Cornelis and Ude looking very strong indeed, moving powerfully away at 35 strokes a minute. A couple of pips up on the second French pair, and that higher rate is translating into boat speed, so they are moving further and further away from the second French boat. It's going to be interesting to see how, as the season progresses, particularly at the Lucerne round of the World Cup in 3 weeks' time, will we see France reforming a women's 4, or will we see them concentrating on the pair? That's a decision for the future. But right here in the here and now, France 1 leading France 2, followed by Denmark and Korea. Niamh.
Yeah, it's a really interesting change of places in the heats earlier. Now, they were in separate heats, but it was France 2 who were about 5 seconds faster than France 1 earlier. But France 1 really took off from the start, and we're seeing them just being that little bit more aggressive, upping the rate to 35 strokes a minute, and that is translating into a greater boat speed over France 2. Now, they are both comfortable in 1st and 2nd position, so I'm not sure if it is a case that they are trying to conserve a little bit of energy here ahead of the races over the next couple of days. But definitely no doubt about it, as they come up towards 1,500 meters here, it is France 1 dominating this race here ahead of France 2, who are comfortable in 2nd place. Then back the field a little bit, we have the crew from Denmark. They are in that 3rd position. Those 1, 2 and 3 have not changed really from the start of the race. France 1 just gone past me here, as have France 2. Both looking very comfortable. I think they're happy with where they are. But as I said, France 1 just taking a little bit more of an aggressive approach. Their rate is that little bit higher. Their speed is that little bit higher. So making sure they get that 1st place in the semi-final, all going well, and comfortable in 2nd place. It is still France 2 now. Their speed is at that little bit lower, but it is still higher than Denmark, who are sitting in that 3rd spot. 3 boats to go through to semi-final, so it does look like Korea will be the ones to miss out on the semi-final spot. But just looking at this, France are just in control. They're dominating this race, have done from the start. And as we can actually see, France 2, who are comfortably in 2nd, actually dropping the rate now. I definitely think this could be a tactic to kind of conserve a bit of energy as they head towards 200 meters to go, Rob.
Yeah, it would seem to make sense because there's such a big gap back to Denmark in 3rd. So the 2 French crews in total control of this repechage in the women's pair.
Davvero senza indugio la Francia domina questo ultimo recupero di giornata con i 2 equipaggi, Francia 1 e Francia 2, di fatto approdano entrambi in semifinale per la 3ª posizione comunque valevole per il passaggio del turno. C'è la Danimarca e con una marcia trionfale verso il traguardo la Francia mette in sicurezza non solo la prima ma la prima e la seconda piazza, che garantiscono il passaggio per l'accesso in finale e quindi domani la possibilità di rincorrere la finalissima questa coppa.
And there goes the hooter for Emil Cornelis and Agathe Ude of France 1. And you'll soon hear the hooter going for France 2 as they cross in 2nd place. Joséphine Cornu d'Anjou and Adèle Brosse They come home in second to qualify for the semi-finals, along with France 1, and then Denmark in third place. Nicoline Laidlaw and Christine Amélie Menert-Cardel for Denmark. That's the 1, 2, 3. France 1, France 2, Denmark through to the semi-finals of the women's pair.
Ed ecco quindi sul traguardo la conferma, servita su un piatto d'argento, Francia, Francia e Danimarca.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes a very full and very busy day one here at the World Rowing Cup 2 in beautiful Varese in northern Italy. If you've been following us on the streaming, thank you so much for doing so. Hope you'll join us again over the weekend when we'll also have live television coverage as well with our television partners. My huge thanks to our commentary team who've been out on the water all day, or at least at the water's edge all day. Neve Hayes and Robert Trahan-Jones, who've done an absolutely cracking job. Huge thanks to the officials as well, particularly the umpires have also been out on the water all day in this, well, beautiful heat, but it can get quite demanding. Huge thanks to all the crews who've taken part. And we must also, of course, thank all our volunteers without whom none of this would be possible. And thanks to everyone at the rowing club here in Varese for staging this wonderful event and always making us feel so welcome. We'll be back tomorrow, Saturday, day 2, starting at 9:25 local time here in Italy with the F finals of the men's single sculls. That's for placings 31 through to 33. Everyone gets a placing in world rowing. Doesn't matter where you come, it's all relevant. And that will take us through to later on in the morning. We'll have some semi-finals and more repechage. We'll actually finish the day later on around 20 past 4, 10 to 5 with the A finals and a number of the events as well. So a lot to look forward to again tomorrow. I've been Rob Curling, I still am, and I hope to be for some time. I'd also like to thank my colleague alongside me, our wonderful host, Luca Bragini.
Grazie, grande Rob, ma grazie a tutti voi per essere stati con noi, aver vissuto questa giornata straordinaria a Varese, il primo atto di questa seconda tappa di Coppa del Mondo. Un grazie ai miei compagni di avventura anche sul campo, i giudici arbitri, senza i quali questo evento non sarebbe possibile, a partire dal presidente di giuria, orgoglio italiano, presidente di questa Coppa del Mondo, Valeria Pessina, e tutti i volontari, senza i quali non sarebbe possibile l'organizzazione di questo grande evento. Se incontrerete durante le vostre giornate uno dei tanti addetti con le magliette blu, stringeteli, fategli un applauso, abbracciateli, stringetegli la mano, sarà l'occasione per ringraziare di cuore tutti i volontari per il loro prezioso aiuto che stanno dando nell'organizzazione di questa grande manifestazione mondiale. Infine, uno sguardo al programma di domani mattina, partiremo alle 9:25 con le prime finali, la finale F del singolo maschile, per proseguire fino alle 10:30 circa con tutte le piccole finali, dalle 10:35 fino alle 13:35, le varie semifinali che comporranno le finalissime di domenica. Nel pomeriggio invece le prime finali con le prime medaglie da assegnare. Grazie per essere stati con noi. Appuntamento a domattina.